Welcome back to Housewives Book Club. I'm Molly Mulshine, and I'm here with Jen Keefe. Hi, Jen.
I'm all so excited to dive into part deux.
Part deux of Dorit Kemsley's memoir.
My friend left a funny comment, my friend May, when we posted the first episode. She was like, thank you for taking on the burden of reading Unburdened.
We are burdened.
Yes.
Very much so. Can you give me like a concise review, some thoughts about the whole thing before we get back into it?
A lot of self-congratulatory filler mixed in with a highly detailed account of the robbery, which we all wanted, plus not enough about her divorce. I understand she was writing this and was still unraveling. Had to skim a lot. That's my concise summary.
Yeah, so self-congratulatory filler that should be the subtitle. It should be Unburdened, self-congratulatory filler. That was the whole thing. For a big chunk of this book, I was trying to speed read it, so I was listening on Audible instead of reading it. And when you actually hear it being read aloud, I couldn't even focus on what was being said. The way that my mind was wandering, because nothing ever happened. Nothing happened, especially once she gets on TV and everything. The things that she talks about from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she gives no detail, in my opinion, about what happened behind the scenes at all. We left off at chapter 16, which is when Dorit first goes on TV and she starts reflecting on what it was like to be on TV. She doesn't tell us, correct me if I'm wrong, she doesn't really tell us about the experience of shooting any scenes, right?
No, not at all.
She just gives us platitudes about the experience of being watched on television.
Yes. No specifics. Platitudes is absolutely the right descriptor.
And it's written in this trademark Dorit way that we discussed in episode 1. I'm going to read a little bit. In my early seasons, I moved instinctively. I reacted in real time. I trusted that context would fill in the blanks. Over time, I understood that context doesn't always travel as neatly as you imagine. So I became more intentional. I realized that being intentional didn't mean becoming calculated. It meant becoming clear. So then we go into, really, the way I remember it, 5 or 6 chapters in a row of that over and over again.
Yeah, the book is very repetitive.
Yeah. And what is she talking about? I think what she's saying is, I started out trying to be authentic, trying to be me. And then I realized that that wasn't serving me well within the power dynamics of the show. So I started faking it a little more. Right? Do you think that's kind of what she's saying?
Yes, I think she set it up such as, I was ready to be honest, to be authentic. They all love to say that. But then she learned that you don't give up, based on the other cast members, you don't give up all the goods. So the skill she says about getting on the show, I didn't realize part of the job was to survive. It took time to understand the difference between being authentic and being unprotected, open versus exposed, speaking freely or speaking wisely. The skill I hadn't mastered yet was restraint.
Okay, I would argue that she still hasn't
Yeah.
mastered that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hello.
this past season, she was like a trucker. She was like a fishwife. Her mouth and just angry, screaming.
What's a fishwife?
It's a term from, I think, the Middle Ages, medieval times. A fisherman's wife, and she's just out on the docks being like, "Oi, boys, we've got some mackerel here," and just like screaming and cursing and yelling, and she's got like veins popping out of her neck. That's how Dorit was acting in the last season to me, and it was interesting because one of the things we love about Dorit is the, let's say, space between who she thinks she is and who she really is, and it's fun to see her be this child of the world when she's from Connecticut, and to be this wearing all these labels when her house is in foreclosure. Like, these are sort of the little daffy things about Dorit that sort of make her lovable and also mysterious. But this time around, the yelling, it was too trashy. It didn't fit. Okay, so chapter 16 is platitudes about the experience of being perceived on reality TV. It's horrible. They should have cut it. Chapter 17, we're getting down to business because she's adopting a dog, and that dog's name is so stupid. It's Lucy Lucy Apple Juicy. And this is the dog herd round the world. This is the bite herd round the world because this was one of her biggest storylines. She talked, actually, one of my favorite vintage Dorit moments is when she calls Frasier's wife, Camille Grammer, the C word. They always show the flashback to that. And talk about a fishwife. She looks like a pirate in that clip when she's like, Camille, you're a like, I won't say it, but she's making this Popeye face and she's like slumped over and it's just like, who are you? It's so funny. And she's like, I would never do that. Now, I forget what section it was in, but I just was like, that was one of the best moments. It was so, so funny. And I think kooky drunk cursing Dorit is a great Dorit, and genuinely angry screaming at Kyle for something we can no longer even keep track of is no bueno. But yeah, so okay. Chapter 17. We're going to get into Puppygate. She opens by talking about how her dad adopted this monkey. Was she said it had been abused and considered too aggressive to keep. If no one took him, he would likely be put down. I mean, how did he learn about this monkey? She does not explain it. Her dad just finds out there's a monkey somewhere in the world who might be put down, and he has no choice but to adopt it.
I think it's important to explain to the audience that Dorit is telling the monkey story in service of explaining her love, her deep love for animals, and that it first started when her father adopted a monkey.
So the monkey, it developed a proclivity for jerking off in front of a mirror.
Pause. To present this to, if anyone's listening that hasn't read the book, if what Molly is saying feels really jarring, it's because that's how it was written. She's leading, you can tell she's leading up to the Lisa Vanderpump of it all, Puppygate. And she talks about, I love animals. For example, my dad adopted a monkey. Well, he had to return the monkey because, well, the monkey was jerking off all the time. I laughed out loud. I had to read it over. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Did you watch Chimp Crazy as well? On HBO Max, however many years ago. Okay, there's a documentary about people that take on chimps as a pet, and it's definitely abusive. And a chimp in that, there's a scene of him pleasuring himself in that documentary. So I am just so grossed out. I am done with these crazy people who are obsessed with monkeys and taking them as pets. But
yeah, you can't do it. You can't bring a monkey to a house. They live in the jungle. What are you talking about? So, okay, it would jerk off in front of the mirror, and her dad decided to give it away. And she goes, the monkey was sent to a museum with a more suitable habitat. I'm like, girl, they killed and stuffed it. I hate to break it to you. They don't have monkeys in museums.
I want to read the passage where Dorit talks about the monkey for our readers and listeners. Okay, this wasn't a casual experiment. My dad treated it seriously, bought a book, studied how to handle the monkey, and worked patiently every evening after work. At first, the monkey was frightened and quick to attack. My father wore protective clothing and a face covering while he built trust. Eventually, the monkey became calmer, more comfortable, no longer the dangerous animal people had warned about. My father felt he had done what he set out to do to get him safe. Unfortunately for my father, the monkey had a mirror.
In his pocket? Or what do you mean, unfortunately for my father, the monkey had a mirror?
So strange. Unfortunately for my father, the monkey had a mirror, and he was deeply in love with himself. Whenever he caught sight of his reflection, the monkey would enthusiastically and repeatedly pleasure himself with impressive focus and at absolutely no shame. It quickly became clear that while my father could rehabilitate the monkey's fear, he was not going to rehabilitate facilitate his extracurricular activities.
So yeah, they send the monkey to a museum and she shares this. I don't know why. I mean, I think she shared it to meet her word count, honestly, because it doesn't make her look good because people got mad at her for giving up this dog after it bit PK and bit one of the kids. And she's kind of laying out this anecdote where she's like, well, giving up pets for minor inconveniences runs in my family. It's like, why putting
I
this in here?
have no idea why she gave this story
Word
the light
count.
of day.
It is a word count thing. She just needed more stuff. And at least to her credit, something happens in this story. So I can't complain. Now we
Mhm.
get into Puppygate. She gives her whole spiel about how much she loves animals. Sure. She did mention the first dog, Maddie, who she returned because it felt off. That's okay. So she returns Maddie, and then she gets Lucy, tiny, light colored, alert, attached to me almost immediately. The children were enchanted. So she gets the dog. The dog bit PK first. We've all seen the photo of him grimacing. And then apparently the dog bit Phoenix. And this is where I get it. I really get it. I would not keep a dog in my house that bit my kid. Wouldn't do it. Everyone has their own philosophy on that. A lot of people, critics of Dorit, say she had all the money in the world. She should have hired a trainer. A dog that bites a little kid, I don't blame you. But here's where the problem arose. She had adopted the dog from Lisa Vanderpump from her animal rescue. Lisa Vanderpump is terrifying at the best of times. Lisa Vanderpump and anything involving dogs is so scary. What do you think?
Super quick, I want to mention that Dorit did not mention any of these details about Vanderpump dogs.
Right.
She barely even utters the word Vanderpump once. So I was thinking, hey, great, I'm about to get the behind the scenes of Puppygate.
Right. She doesn't
No.
say all of this. So when you adopt a dog from Vanderpump, also, by the way, Lucy was bred in captivity. So this was not an abused, aggressive animal. This was just a puppy that she got from the place where it was born. So that was kind of weird, also. Like,
Oh, so this dog was from
no,
a
it was
breeder?
born at Vanderpump Dogs. I guess they took in a pregnant dog and Lucy was her issue. So he was
Got
not
it.
an abused dog. And it's weird because a lot of the ensuing press around Puppygate basically was a lot of quotes from different workers at Vanderpump Dogs and from the new owner who's a model who owned Lucy after Dorit and did a photo shoot with People magazine. Oh my God. The shaming that she did experience was over the top because all of these people are like, the dog was never mean until it allegedly lived with Dorit. And it's like, well, I don't know. I feel bad for Dorit because she was in an impossible situation, but she did the wrong thing. So here's what happened, which also, I mean, she says in her book, she found her a safe home with a woman who loved dogs. So the issue then became that woman also thought Lucy was a little aggro and she dropped her off at a shelter. None of this is in the book, like you said.
No.
The shelter scanned Lucy, found that she was, her little chip was connected to Vanderpump Dogs and they brought her back to Vanderpump Dogs. So okay, everyone was at the time. This was an insane story, an insane plot line. As Dorit says in the book, she was getting death threats because dog people online are terrifying. It's terrifying. They didn't know all the details. Dorit did the wrong thing for sure. She should have returned it to Vanderpump Dogs. But just to advocate for Dorit a little bit here, can you imagine what would have happened if she had returned a second dog to Vanderpump Dogs?
Let's play it out.
The exact same
She
thing.
walks in. Yeah.
She would have been getting
So
death threats.
yes.
If she had returned the dog to Vanderpump Dogs and said, I can't handle this dog, that would have been the storyline. And
Mm-hmm.
someone would have leaked that to Radar Online. And it would have become Dorit's a bad dog owner anyway. So she clumsily and not very brightly decided to take matters into her own hands with the dog, gave it to this woman. She shouldn't have done that. She should have returned it. But I understand why she did it. She was
Yes.
terrified of Lisa Vanderpump. And
Yes.
who isn't?
Yes, this is a woman that calls her dog sexy.
Yeah, like she is not going to take kindly to a double dog return. I don't think she should have taken another dog.
Right.
But I think she also, this was during the time when Lisa Vanderpump was doing all that advocacy against the Yulin Dog Festival and everything. So she was truly standing on the barricade with the French flag, like, do you hear the people say about dogs? You know, like she was in her dog Evita era, Lisa Vanderpump. So nothing was going to come between her and dog advocacy, and woe betide the person who comes between her and any dog. So I do understand why Dorit made a stupid decision in a moment of abject terror over the prospect of Lisa Vanderpump casting her as like a dog
Yep,
hater.
totally. That being said, because I thought she was teeing up, giving all the details about Puppygate, can you inform me what Kyle had to do with Puppygate? Because I thought Kyle was a major part of that, and I didn't learn a thing about it from this book.
I know. There were so many layers to Puppygate, and this revealed none of them. Basically, what happened was Teddy Mellencamp, widely known to be Kyle's minion, kind of was the one who, along with Vanderpump's Puppy World employee, John Sessa, I think his name was, they sort of teed up the storyline, Teddy and John. They were like, oh, did you hear that Dorit returned this dog? Thinking that they were doing something good for their overlords, Vanderpump and Kyle, separately, by setting up a sacrificial Dorit storyline. Kyle then, at this point, somehow saw this as her moment to, I believe, rally the troops against Vanderpump and finally kick her off the show. Lisa Vanderpump was dealing with the aftermath of her brother's untimely death. She was very upset. She was mourning. She was grieving. And they decided that the real offense in all of this was that someone had leaked, but it was really weird because most of the audience was freaking out about the dog's fate. And everyone on the show was just freaking out about getting rid of Vanderpump through this leak question. It was about the leak. It was ostensibly about the
Matt
leak.
Rogers of Las Culturistas gave this killer insight about Beverly Hills at some point in the past 3 or so years on his podcast. He said, Beverly Hills is Beverly Hillsing. And what that means is that the conflict becomes what is the conflict. I think that encapsulates this whole Puppygate.
Yes, it's become unbearable. And it's become unbearable because Lisa Vanderpump is gone. Like, the woman knew how to move story, and she was funny, and she was smart. Tilly's funny, very funny, but like Rinna was funny and she's gone now. There's a real humor vacuum happening. Thank God for Tilly. And Kathy Hilton, I don't really find her funny, but a lot of people do, so that's good. But yeah, it's become what is the fight? Who was the last person that was the winner of the fight? Yeah, it's gotten horrible to watch, and they need Vanderpump back. And Kyle, she orchestrates this every season. I mean, in my opinion, the whole Denise Richards thing was all Kyle. Kyle brought back Brandy and her sister wearing mics when they were like dropping clothes off at Kyle's house to tell them about the Denise Richards thing. And then, like it has now become a show about all of the women ganging up on one person per season to keep, conspiracy theories would say, the spotlight off of their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting boring to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I just did a find search in my Kindle, and she mentions Lisa Vanderpump only 6 times throughout the whole,
Nuts. Really
which is crazy
nuts.
because Vanderpump was the first person that she knew on the show, and she was really the queen of the show. In my eyes, she still is. She's like a shadow queen,
Yeah, if you're picking up Unburdened because you want some BTS of cast relationships, behind the scenes filming the show, you are not getting it from this book.
Yeah, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Okay, so chapter 18, this is a good chapter too, I have to say. Actually, for as much as we're talking smack about this book, these are two bangers in a row because this one is called Face Value. The chapter names, by the way, they're all just as kind of oblique and meaningless as most of the writing. But this one is kind of good. Face Value. She talks about the plastic surgery rumors.
Yes.
Now, Jen, were you aware of the plastic surgery rumors surrounding
I was
Dorit?
aware of them pertaining to a nose job.
Okay. Okay. That's
That's
it?
it.
Wow. I thought, as did many others, that she had the works.
Did you believe that she had the works from when she started the show until now, like in that period of time?
I don't know. I thought that okay, there's a page 6 story called Dorit Kemsley's Changing Look, and they've got her high school photo on the left, an early season photo in the middle, and one where she is face-tuned to the gods on the right. So that one's not even a fair comparison because it's an illustration. But I thought that she had probably had something done between high school and season 1, and then just started tweaking more and more as she went on. But in the book, she says she has only had Botox and filler and veneers.
I'm scrolling through this page 6 article now. She definitely has had a nose job looking at the high school portrait. I'm looking at the page 6 photos now, and I actually believe that she's only had a nose job. I think that everything else could be contributed to filler and glam.
Yeah, I don't even think the nose job necessarily because I actually do think she's got some really great contouring going on. And the other thing that I know to be true is she was postpartum in her first season on Housewives, and the things that happen to your face when you're pregnant and postpartum are so beyond the realm of acceptable. Like, your face changes so much, and you look in the mirror and you're like, "I'm not me. I'm a different person, and I'm never gonna be me again." Not to say that she didn't also look great then, because she did, but she looks different. She has a different look. And I don't know, I think looking at it, yeah, it looks like there's for sure her chin has gotten pointier, but we know that that's possible with filler. Maybe she got some masseter Botox like Bethany, which is why Bethany looks so different than her early photos. And yeah, I kind of believe her now. And I think those veneers are what's doing the Lord's work. Because when you look at those early photos where she just looks she doesn't look as polished as now in the early seasons, when you know about the veneers, you're like, wait, that is all it is. It's like any picture of her in the early seasons where you can see her teeth. That's the issue. And now that she's got the veneers, yeah, she looks like a literal model.
She has very good veneers.
So good job, Dorit. Congrats.
I highlighted a passage I was like, oh, I resonate. What I was raised with was self-esteem. My mother didn't teach me that beauty was perfection. She taught me that it was presence. That carries you much further than a scalpel ever will.
But then why did you get veneers? I also liked that she did, a good 750 words on her Schiaparelli reunion dress that no one else was still thinking about. Like, there's so much that she leaves out, like, as we said in our first episode, the name of her company, what her job ever has been before she was on the show. We don't know that. We don't know what she was like as a kid. We don't know what she does in her spare time now. We don't know any of that, but we're going to learn about the Schiaparelli reunion dress that we all forgot about. She says it was sculptural, dramatic, architectural, and she bought it off the rack. This is something that we've learned about her also thanks to all of her divorce stuff leaking. She, over a 12-month period, it might have been even less than 12 months, spent something like $850,000 on clothing. So on the show, people have always been like, she's renting all those head-to-toe designer looks. She's buying knockoffs. No, it seems like she's actually buying them off the rack, wearing them once, and then who knows?
I agree. At the time, that wasn't that iconic of a reunion look, but she put a photo in the book of everything and it had a little description, the iconic reunion dress. It's like, babe,
Right.
babe. No, yeah, like you said, no one's thinking about it.
You can't call yourself iconic. I love the look. It's amazing. But everyone was kind of making fun of her because the hood and the little forelock that she had greased under her head, that was like people were kind of making fun of her, which is great. I mean, if people are talking about you, they're talking about you. But it's just so funny that she I mean, I would love to know who her focus group is for what's iconic. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's all just her vibe and her feeling, which is what's kind of charming about her. And it's what works on screen, but doesn't work on the page. This is one of the only Housewives books that I've read where I came out of it understanding the person less and kind of liking them less.
That's unique.
Because, yeah, it didn't offer any clarity on any of her actions in the show. She definitely said she was misunderstood many, many times, but never really clarified how or why. And she came across completely humorless. There was this part where she was like, if people paid attention to the beginning of the show and just assumed that everything I was doing was meant to be funny, they would have perceived it totally differently. And it's like, well, yeah, anyone can. I could perceive, a congressional hearing as something that's meant to be funny. That doesn't mean it's funny.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
like, you're
Yeah.
not funny, Dorit. You're not a funny person intentionally. You're like a lot of the things you do are funny despite your best efforts. But I don't know. She is one of the only people I've come across who benefits from a reality TV edit.
Mhm. You're right. Like the
I think it's
cigarette scene.
yeah. I think it's because she's so unself-aware. I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe
Mhm.
we'll do Luann's book soon and see if it's similar because I feel like it could be a similar level of dry image control because that's what this felt like. It felt like she would not let any truth come out at all. It felt very tightly managed, and that's why there were no details except about this dress. So the dress, Schiaparelli dresses, they will run you 9,000 to 30,000 euros off the rack.
Oh.
So she says she paid for it herself because some pieces aren't just purchases, they're moments. This one felt like a moment.
I get the distinct feeling that not enough gays are around Dorit.
Oh, say more.
Like that language using like really dated the moment. She is the moment in what was the year of our Lord 2025 when she was writing this. I'm worried there's not enough gays surrounding her to I'm not
Give her the
worried. I
moment.
think it's true. Also, it comes across in her lack of a sense of humor. It's clear Erica Jane is surrounded by gays, I feel. But I don't know. She mentioned a long time, perhaps stylist or makeup artist that's been with her, who I assume is a gay guy. You said something I wanted to respond to. Oh, yes. She wrote this book in a way that we know her less and that she didn't want to it- she did not divulge anything. I pay such close attention to the acknowledgement sections of memoirs in particular,
Yes.
and she named nary a person besides Phoenix and Jagger. She is not beating the allegations that she has no friends. She mentioned one friend in the book that's been by her side through everything in her life. So it's good to hear she has one
Claudine.
friend. But in that acknowledgement section, she had a to my friends who've been with me through thick and thin, you know who you are. Uh, maybe, because there's just one of them. But yeah, I thought that was super telling how much of even her acknowledgement section did not mention names, proper nouns.
Yes, and something really damning to me was chapter 29. This was her doing damage control on the no friends allegations, where she just suddenly names this woman Claudine Kane, and she just says, when you get a divorce, people pick sides. And the only person who didn't pick sides was Claudine. And it's like, no, I think she's just the only person who picked your side from what it sounds like. Because it sounds like PK kind of took everyone with him, which has to be horrible. I mean, that's horrible. And I'm sure it happens to people all the time. You become enmeshed in each other's social groups, and even some of the ones you brought in might switch loyalty when you're actually breaking up. She says there were people like Rob and Claudine where nothing changed. Not their tone, not their loyalty, not their steadiness. This is the first and last time we hear of Rob and Claudine. So, okay, whatever. Next, she's like, My life now is about being surrounded by people whose philosophies match mine, people I trust implicitly, people I want influencing my children. And you think she's going to go into, yeah, my childhood friends who've stayed with me or some other new people I've met, but instead she goes through this whole thing. It's about being able to sit in silence and feel safe, knowing your words will not be weaponized later. Trust that does not require constant proof. She goes so like dramatic about this concept of the perfect friendship, and it ends with, "Which is why meeting Bozoma St. John felt like oxygen." And it's like, "Oh my god, was that like what? Was that your first friend? What do you mean?"
Bose is this literally the second friend that she names in the whole book. Wow, you didn't have a friend worth mentioning besides one that you met 2 years ago? Shit.
I know, it makes me feel bad, and I hope it's because she's just playing it close to the vest, and she's got this thriving, amazing personal life and all of these great things going on, but she's just trying to stick to whatever's on screen. That's what I have to tell myself because it kinda makes me too sad to think otherwise. And then a year later, I was blessed again when Rachel Zoe came into my life. Rachel carries strength quietly. She is resolute without rigidity, glamorous without detachment. So then she just, she just talks about that. She did also say that Lisa Rinna is very loyal. And what formed between us was not transactional. Even after she left, our friendship remained. That says something. So that's good. She shows up, she checks in, she does not disappear when the cameras stop. There is no calculation, no keeping score. So again, she's sort of revealing that she's not really friends with most of these people on the show, and none of them actually talk to each other when the cameras aren't rolling. So I don't know, kind of wish I didn't know that. Even though I knew it, I didn't want to hear it. You know
I
what I
want
mean?
to what part of what you just said indicates that she doesn't talk to Bose and Rachel beside
No, no, no. She talks to Bose and Rachel. It's everybody else. The fact that she has to do a whole chapter saying these are the only 3 people she ever met on the show that she actually likes is just like, okay, so what are we doing here? What is this show? It's not about a friend group,
Yeah.
you know?
I want to talk about her throwing out Rachel Zoe's name. I thought to myself, she is Dorit just wanting to strategically align herself with Rachel Zoe because it gives clout. But watching this most recent season, when they were in Italy, I did observe that Rachel was coming to her defense at that dinner table when things were blowing up with Kyle and Erica in a genuine way. I personally, as a viewer, am very over Kyle, especially as a lesbian. There's, I think, just so much darkness to Kyle's alleged relationship with Morgan Wade, allegedly, because Morgan Wade, from my understanding, a very visibly gay person who made a music video about being gay. Morgan has never come out. I'm just so over Kyle speaking so vaguely about that. I'm not speaking articulately at all about this, but I'm just kind of like, get over yourself. It's 2026. It's all going to be fine for you as a white woman in Beverly Hills if you say, "Yeah, I was hooking up with a woman." Like, you don't even have to name her. It's I don't know, I'm super, super annoyed by Kyle. So even though Dorit was being insufferable in many elements this season, during that dinner table outburst, I really respect Rachel Zoe and I loved watching her. And something clicked in me. Oh, Rachel Zoe sees something worth defending in Dorit. That's really interesting to me.
Yes, that was really interesting to me too, because I had thought Rachel Zoe would clock Dorit as sort of a fashion wannabe, because even though Dorit is clearly spending so much money on this stuff, she's not getting invited to the shows. She's not sitting front row. Sutton we see getting invited to the inner sanctum of Dolce and Gabbana because she spends so much money there. But for whatever reason, Dorit's not getting the same treatment at any of these houses. And Rachel Zoe is a legend bona fide in the fashion world. So I just thought that she wouldn't want to get Dorit's like stink on her, for lack of a
I
better word.
know, I know.
And they seemed to click, and I loved it. I really liked watching their friendship because it did seem natural. Same with Dorit and Bose. Like, I do think these are genuine friendships. And I think what is kind of going on with Rachel, who is, I believe, a Scorpio, if I remember correctly, right? Didn't she like
I
make a
don't
big
know.
deal? She, I think, is amassing an army because I think Rachel, oh, she's a Virgo. Okay. So same as you.
Yeah.
I think that Rachel Zoe is slowly and quietly building an army of minions to make it her show. And I think Dorit also wants to do that. So I think they might have conflict down the line because what's going on is I think everyone on the cast must realize that Kyle is so boring and refuses to show any of her real life. And all she does is throw stones and orchestrate storylines without showing anything. It's time for a new Supreme, And I think Kyle might leave soon also, especially if she and Mo actually get divorced and she gets half of the agency. I don't know if she's going to still want to be on TV. Well, actually, yeah, she wants to be on TV forever. It's her lifeblood. So I don't know, but yeah, I think that Dorit and Rachel might end up jockeying for the alpha position. And right now they're gonna have an alliance because they're gonna go against Kyle. And Rachel hasn't thrown any stones at anyone yet, but obviously she's gonna have to if she wants to stay on the show. So it's gonna be interesting to see where their friendship goes.
Yes. You just said Kyle loves being on TV. It's her lifeblood, especially this last season, the last 2 seasons. I have felt as a viewer that palpably she hates being on this show.
Yes.
What do you think keeps her there? You're saying TV's her lifeblood. I'm not seeing that the past 2 seasons.
She can't not be on TV, but she can't be on any show other than this one. She's made a deal with the devil because she has always been in the shadow of her two sisters. Kim was the, you know, beautiful blonde child star, baby face. Kathy was the one who married real estate royalty. Kyle was just sort of languishing in between, kind of doing a little bit of both, never having her own thing. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills gave her own thing. She is, I would never say this, but it seems to be the default opinion, the queen bee of the show now, ever since LVP left. And it's the one thing that she has that she feels like she's the alpha of. And I don't think she's gonna give it away, even though she hates every minute of it at this point.
Got it. That makes sense.
And I wish she would give it away because I just think she's holding the show back so much. I think, can you imagine Erica without Kyle? It would be like Sierra without Paige. And I like Paige. Like Paige was good on the show, but it's just, I just think Erica could really spread her wings as well if she was somebody else's minion.
Yeah, she could be queen bee.
She could, but also she doesn't care enough about social dynamics to ever get there. She's like an outsider, don't you think?
Yeah, she also suffers from the same thing Kyle does, as she's this past season not giving up the goods. Pretty sure that she never talked about her boyfriend, never saw him on camera. When they try to sneak that stuff by us as viewers, I really don't like it. I honestly think to send a message that Kyle and Erica should be off the show. I think it would do Erica some good and she would sort of come correct. I know that she showed a lot in the form of her ex-husband getting sued and crumbling for misusing funds from his law firm and defrauding victims. He also talked about being a victim of abuse, so that was very major. So maybe I'm wrong. I my one complaint, I wish we heard more about her boyfriend or saw him. I don't like on these shows when they pretend to not have relationships, as we're seeing with, I don't know when this is going to air, but Summer House Reunion Part 3.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that Dorit said about either Bose or Rachel, I think it was Bose, was we are friends because we choose to be, not because we need to be. And that distinction matters. The implication is that she needed to be friends with Kyle. And you're kind of asking yourself, like, well, why, Dorit? Why did you need to be friends with Kyle?
Yeah, maybe
To
because
take,
PK and Mo love each other so much.
or to take down LVP. That's what I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
you know? And she also says, I learned from Bose and Rachel that real friendship is never earned through self erasure. And it's like, well, okay, so you were erasing yourself to be friends with Kyle for this entire time that you've been on the show, or at least since your alliance started. Like, that is huge. That's like a really big thing to learn when you're in your late 40s. It's kind
Mhm.
of wild, you know? But the other thing I wanted to get your take on was, I don't have a quote here, but I feel like there were many instances when she kind of implied that she had either hidden things for Kyle or stayed silent for Kyle. And I felt like she kind of was implying that she knew about Kyle and Morgan Wade and agreed to keep the secret and not bring it up on camera. And now she almost regrets that or something like that.
I actually did not pick up on that in the book, the sentiment that she felt she protected Kyle from things. I certainly picked up on that sentiment in the Beverly Hills reunion when she says so much, or maybe it was in confessionals in later episodes. But no, I didn't pick up on that from the book. I certainly think that what you described happened. Um
Yeah.
yeah, I think that certain cast members, if not all of them, uh, I don't know. I truly wonder if Kyle even said at any point to anyone in her life, "I am dating Morgan." I don't know if she did.
Right. You think it was a don't ask, don't tell kind of scenario where everyone was like, this is as plain as the nose on our faces, but we're not allowed to ask about it because Kyle will flip out. So I guess we're just pretending that this isn't happening.
Exactly. And a reason, like you, I don't find Kathy Hilton too amusing is, remember how giggly she was at that reunion. I don't know if it was this season or last one when Kyle was talking about her sexuality and being open to men and women. Like Kyle, it was so uncomfortable to watch. Kathy was uncomfortably giggling the whole time. Kyle literally had to interrupt her and say, "Hey, stop. I'm trying to talk about something serious." I think part of Kyle's closetness. I know that it is 2026 and she's a white woman in Beverly Hills, but there's obviously some her sister has some feelings about it.
Right. Right. And that probably comes from their mom. And it was probably just something that was considered undoable when they were growing up because if you read House of Hilton and other material about their upbringing, the whole MO of their family allegedly was, be of service to a man. And you can see that now in the way that Kyle is always defending men, even to the detriment of her friends.
Yeah, it's so embarrassing watching her. She wants to be back. I think she wants to be back with Mo, and it's a little pathetic because he is outside.
All right. Well, based on my research, when PK first started dating Dorit, he actually testified in court that he might want to get back with his first wife, Loretta, which is something I found out not in Dorit's book because it doesn't have anything interesting in it, but through my own research, which I did a lot of on their finances and their legal cases and all different things like that. So we're going to talk about that in our next episode next week. And we're going to talk about the break-in. We're going to talk about Dorit leaving money in the front of her trolley at the store and it getting stolen out of her purse. We're going to talk about the pantomime. We're going to talk about all of the really juicy stuff that Dorit also didn't cover but vaguely alluded to in this book. Except the robbery. She did go into detail about that. So, Jen, do you have anything to add about part 2 of Dorit's book, Unburdened?
No, I will simply say that, ladies and gentlemen, Molly Mulshine is a journalist in the purest sense, and you better tune in for part 3 because I just know that she went the distance on this financial sleuthing.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Okay, so thanks for listening. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave us a rating and a review, a 5-star rating and a good review. If you have any negative feedback, say it to our face. No, send it to us in a DM, like privately, and we'll talk about it. And maybe we'll even bring it up on the show.